Hello, everyone, and welcome to More Than Coincidence, Remembering Jesus Christ in Your Story. As the author and finisher of our faith, our Savior writes personal experiences into each of our lives, which can later strengthen, empower, and bring us peace upon reflection. This podcast is dedicated to sharing these anchoring memories from everyone's unique stories in order to collectively remember and testify of the reality of Jesus Christ and His presence in our lives. I'm your host, Lily, and I'm very excited to share these experiences together. All right, everybody, welcome to the podcast. Tonight we have Kelli. Kelli, how you doing?
I'm doing so good. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Lily.
Hey, I am so happy that I get to talk to you and we've been able to catch up, and it's just been so much fun so far. So do you mind introducing yourself for the audience?
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm Kelli. I am 28 years old. I am a mom and I'm a wife. I have two incredible kids. We live in Utah, super great. I grew up in a Christian household, so I was always kind of serving or doing ministry in some kind of aspect. And I'm so lucky that that is my story because I had parents that loved me, I had siblings that loved me, and I got to be in churches where I felt loved and taken care of, and really was introduced to God from a really, really young age. And my mom just really made it a tangible thing for me from early on. So I just feel really lucky. So
wow. That's so awesome. Well, Kelli, I'll ask you the question then. What memories do you have in your life that you reflect on that prick your heart in remembrance of our Savior Jesus Christ and anchor you to Him?
Oh my gosh, Lily, I love this question. I love that you're doing this podcast just in general.
Oh, thank you.
I love this question specifically because I feel like it's very open-ended. I feel like the older I've gotten, the more that I've realized and seen that He's been in everything.
Right.
Like He's been in it all. It's like it's hard to narrow down just one specific memory or one specific instance because it's like, man, every instance He's been in, and everything, all of the hard things, all of the good things he's had His hands in, you know?
Right.
It's, if I'm looking back throughout the duration of my life, it's funny. I will try not to go through each individual of the 28 years. I will try not to do that because we could be here for a while. But when I was younger, right, we grew up in this Christian household. God was always talked about. My mom did such a good job, Lily, of making God this tangible, real thing, and really bringing Him into the everyday of our lives. And so I never questioned, if He was real or if He was there or if He heard me or anything, because she just made it so evident that He was. So early on in my life, I really felt like I kind of had a life verse that was given to me, not by anybody. I was just reading through the Bible, and I really felt like this was early on. I was probably 13, 14 when when I felt like this really jumped off the page. But it was James 1:2-4, which says, "Count it all joy, my brethren, when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Letting patience have its perfect work in you, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." So that was given to me when I'm like 13, 14 years old. I'm going to be real honest with you. I had been through nothing at 13 or 14 years old. So there were really
I know compared to now, you're like, that was easy. Junior high was nothing.
Exactly. Well, it's like back then I was like, oh, yes. Oh, the trials that I'm going through. Yes, of
I'm
course.
such an anxious, angsty teen.
Exactly. Little did I know, man, the scope of impact that would have throughout the course of my life. It's funny because it's even like my Instagram handle, like from when I was like 13 or 14 years old. I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, this is going to be the motto of my life. I did not realize that it was going to be kind of difficult to count it all joy. That's all is a big word. And there's a lot that happens in a life to have to count it all joy. So as I got older, met a boy. We were best friends. Typical boy down the street situation. We fell in love. We got married. We got married really young. And things just didn't work out. And I was so devastated, Lily. Like I was beside myself. It was the first time in my life that I really felt like God, where are
Where are
you?
you?
What are
Right.
you doing? Like, what are you doing? Is this,
Yeah.
am I just a joke to you? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really felt like I had heard from him to, accept the proposal and to move forward in marriage.
Right.
We knew each other from church, like we served together at church, like this, like
Yeah.
I was like, this is all I ever dreamed of. Like,
Right.
what do you like? I felt completely, Lily, like the rug had been ripped out from under me.
Right.
And it was devastating. I was devastated. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know who would. My dream was always to be a wife and a mom. And after that, I honestly, Lily, did not know who was going to want me. I'm like, sick. I have a divorce on my record. And
Right.
who's going to want that of this little like 20-year-old
Oh,
girl? Like, nobody wants a
yeah.
divorcee at 20 years old. Like, ew, nobody wants this. Like, oh, I'm
Right. Which
never
is
going to get to
not
live my
true. You can
dreams.
always
It's
start
of
over.
course not true. Now I know this. Now the little baby 20-year-old Kelly didn't know any better and she was very
Yeah. Oh, I'm
confused.
so sorry. I want to give her a hug.
Dude, same, same. There's oh my gosh, same. There's a lot I want to do to her, I swear. But it
Yeah.
was crazy, dude, the way that the Lord met me in that space. So I have distinct memories of driving around in my car right after everything had come out. And like I was so devastated and I was so sad and I was so just brokenhearted. And I'm driving around in my car and Lily, I am screaming at God like a psychopath. Like I am cursing him at him. I'm saying, where are you?
Yeah.
Why did you do this to me? I've
Right.
spent my whole life serving you. I've spent my whole life showing up for you. And what this is what you do to me. This is what you
Yep.
do to me.
I've
You
been
make me
there.
look like a fool. Like I just was losing it on him. And as I'm sitting there and I'm sitting in my car and I'm punching my steering wheel and I'm crying and I'm screaming and it's the type of pain that like you feel at such a level that you think you're never going to come back from. Like
Yes.
the
Right.
soul crushing, body
Right.
aching,
Right.
just devastation, right?
Yeah.
And as I'm sitting there and I'm so mad at God and I'm so mad at everything and I'm just so sad, all of a sudden, like I had this one spot in the valley that I would drive to, and it just was like this overlook where I could just kind of see the entire Utah Valley. And it was night, it was dark, and all the lights were on, and I'm just like staring off over there, and I'm so mad, I'm so upset. And all of a sudden, just like a still small voice, right? Just like he talks about, it's almost like I could hear him just be like, Kel, look out. Look at all these lights. Think about all those people that are out there. And I started thinking about that, right? All of these people that are out there living their lives, doing their thing.
Right.
Each one of them is going through something. Every single one. The difference is you get to have hope for this thing that you're going through. You get to have me in this thing that you're going through. And immediately, dude, it hit me like a ton of bricks where I was like,
Wow.
whoa, you're absolute like I get to have hope. Like I get to have the Lord to walk through this. There's a whole valley of people out here that might not know him, that might not have him, that have to go through hard things. Like at least I have hope. Like at least I have the Lord. Like I have someone. I'm not alone. I have someone, right?
Right. Exactly.
It was just, and it was so mind-blowing to me that he met me with such kindness, right? And such softness when I was so angry, Lily, and I was so mad and I was so harsh and mean, and yet he still met me with this softness and this kindness and this gentleness, right? I mean, it's like
Right.
in the word, right? It talks about how his kindness is what leads us to repentance. Whoa, it was true for me there. I
Right.
was like, oh my gosh, Lord, I'm sorry that I've been such a spoiled brat. Like, it's not about me and what I do for you. It's about you and what you've already done for me. Like,
Right. And
it
what you can
shook
do for
me.
me in the future. Like you
Exactly.
know my future and I don't know it. And I can still,
Exactly.
and I think it's still okay for us to grieve and to feel that pain, but I love
For
how you
sure.
bring up the hope. It's like I'm
For
grieving
sure.
and he's sitting here with me, grieving
Yes.
with me, but he
Yes.
says, "Don't worry, Kelly, don't worry, Lily. I have a plan for you. You might not
Exactly.
know it, but put your faith
Exactly.
in me and hope and let's go together and start again." Right? Like,
Exactly,
how
dude.
beautiful is that
Exactly.
that we actually get to have that because of Jesus Christ?
Oh, it's unreal, dude. It feels almost unfair. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so special. Like, oh my, like why do I
Right?
still have this all the time? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's like in that, dude. It's been such a journey. This has been the constant theme I feel like throughout my life of like me. finding myself in these positions of just deep sadness, I guess. I
Yeah.
like I said, right, this life verse was given to me of count it all joy. And I wasn't ever expecting my life to be filled with a lot of loss. I feel
Yeah.
like even at 28 right now, right, looking back, my life's been marked with a lot of loss. And that's not something you expect when you're 14 years old and you're being given a life verse about joy. Like you don't think that you're
Right.
being marked by loss by
Right.
any means. But looking back, these benchmarks in my life have been marked with a lot of loss. The divorce being one of them, but there's been a lot of other things in addition to that. Yet every time the Lord has shown up,
Yeah.
every single time, and it hasn't ever been dependent on how I'm doing, like, or what I'm doing, or like
Right.
where I'm at, or anything. He's just always been there. Like it's just even as of recently. So I've struggled with anxiety and depression for a long time. Anxiety since I was a teenager. Depression definitely in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And these lows that I will go through, Lily, are so dark. They are so dark. And I
Right.
don't it's just, I mean, there was situations just a couple years back where in all total transparency, total honesty, I
Hmm.
did not think I was going to make it. I
Yeah.
was very ready to end it all. I was very ready to be done. I did not think, I honestly thought that my being here in life on earth made people's lives worse and I needed to be done. And it was totally the depression talking. Like it was totally,
Right.
I was spiraling to a place that things were so dark that was literally what I was believing.
Yeah.
Even there, even there, as I'm sitting on my bathroom floor and I'm weeping and I'm contemplating this and I'm doing this and whatever,
Yeah.
even there, the Lord sat beside me and met me and said, I got you. I got you. Like I want you. You are actually enough. I do want you. Like
Yeah.
you do actually make things better because I made you. Like you are
Right.
enough because I made you.
Because I made
Like
you. You are literally divine. Like,
yes, like that's it exactly, dude. Like
yeah.
it's just been so insane to me that he's never asked me to be any certain way or come
Yeah.
to him in any certain way or show up in my Sunday best with my perkiest attitude and my happiest
Right.
heart and
Right.
just he's just looking for the rose colored glasses and as long as I come to him with a thankful heart then he's going to bless me and he's going to meet me and it's
Right.
just not
Right.
been that way, dude. I can be at my very lowest, my very most difficult to be around and he's still there and he still wants me and he still wants to hang out. Like it's it's been so spectacularly amazing. I can't even, it's hard to put it into words, the way that he's been so real to
Yeah.
me and so sufficient. Like more than sufficient, but like he's been so good to me even when I don't deserve it. Like even when I've done nothing for him. Even when I can't do anything for him, even when I can't give anything back, I physically, my depression, my anxiety, whatever is physically causing me to not be able to give him anything.
Hmm.
He still wants me. He still wants to be by me. He still wants to hang out. Like it's absolutely incredible, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's mind blowing. And so to think about, the ways that he has, you know, areas in my life that he's pricked my heart, memories that I have, it's like, God, all of them,
All of them.
all of them prick my heart. All of them remind me that he's been there. All of them remind me that like he's shown up because he's never left. Like he's always been there.
I can't get him to leave.
I can't get him to leave, right? Exactly. I swear. Sometimes it feels that way though, dude. Legit. Like sometimes I get so stuck in my depravity that it does feel
Yeah.
like I'm pushing him away. Like it feels
Right.
like I'm actively being like, Ugh, get away from me.
Right.
I'm you don't want to
Right.
see me
I'm
like this.
unclean. I'm
I'm
dirty. I'm
unclean.
so sinful. Like, I don't deserve
Yes.
you. Like, all of, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
I feel like it's so easy for me to get stuck in that loop and that
Yeah.
spiral of
Right.
thinking, well, I don't want to be around me. I don't think anybody else wants to be around me.
Right.
So he
Therefore,
doesn't want to be
God
around
does not
me.
want to be around me.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly, dude.
Right.
And yet he does. And yet
Yeah.
there he is. And yet
Right.
there he is, just consistently there waiting for me to turn around waiting for me to just open my eyes and just accept it, right? It's
Right.
beautiful. I
Right.
love it.
So I really, really love how you're bringing up this idea of counting it all joy. And I feel like right now it's so, I don't want to say impossible to do kind of in life.
Yeah,
And I feel like there are so many things going on in the world and going on in
yeah,
our lives that it is so hard to feel that joy and
it is.
to have that hope,
It is.
you know?
Yeah, it is.
And so
Absolutely.
how do you, I guess my question to you would be, how have you been able to kind of hold on to that
Mm,
and
mm,
have that faith and that trust in Christ and in God to and hold on to it? Like why is that even
mm,
something
mm,
when you're in your dark your lowest of lows and stuff, why do you choose him?
mm,
You know?
Dude, such a good question. Such a good question. Thank you so much for asking it. I honestly, it's because he's been the constant.
Yeah.
He's been the thing that hasn't left.
Yeah.
He's been the thing that I know that I can always count on. So it makes it easier for me to run to him because he's been the thing that's always been consistent. That's
Right.
always been there. That hasn't gone anywhere. That's
Right.
always been. It's always been and always will be. So that, I mean, that's, I know that at the root, that's the reason why, right? Now,
Right.
practically, every day in regular life, right?
Yeah.
It's super hard, dude. It's super hard to remember those things because
Yeah.
life does get heavy. Trials are hard. Like they're not
Right.
called trials for nothing. Like they are
Right.
supposed to be hard, dude. They
Right.
suck. Like going through difficulties is not fun.
Fun.
Being
Right.
refined is not fun. It's not enjoyable at all.
Right. Right.
It's very difficult to count it joy, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like even just as of recently, right? I mean, even in the last like 6 months, this is something that's really been like an eye-opening
Yeah.
idea that I've tried to like hold on to
Mhm.
is that I am privileged to suffer, which sounds actually insane.
Oh, please
That
no,
sounds like a
expound
crazy
on that.
person,
I love that. No, expound on that.
but I am privileged to suffer. Like the Lord trusts me enough
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
stay close to him, to spread his name, to
Right.
continue to worship him. He trusts me enough to do that, that he would give me this hard thing, whatever the hard thing might be, right? We all have different hard things. But
Right.
to come at it from a perspective of like, I'm actually blessed that he would trust me enough to carry this hard thing, to carry this heavy thing.
Right.
Like I am
Right.
honored among saints that he would trust me enough to carry this, that he would trust me enough to bear his name and also carry this heavy thing.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's been pretty game changing for me, dude, to like think about actually I'm privileged to suffer, not just because of like, oh, it's so awesome that he would trust me with it, which is a huge part of it, but also I know that the suffering brings depth. The
Yes.
suffering is where the roots like that's where they go.
Yes, and that's the
That's
purpose, right? Like
that's the
it gives
purpose.
purpose.
Exactly, dude.
Right.
Like he doesn't allow these things for nothing.
Right.
It's not just for nothing. It's not so he can sit back and watch us be in pain and be like, oh, yikes. Or it's not just for these tests or for these whatever. Like he's not just a puppet master in the sky watching us suffer and laughing about it. You
Right.
guys, he is actively involved. He's actively there. And it's all so that we can have a deeper relationship with him and a deeper love for other people. Like,
Yeah.
because of this suffering, because of these hard things, right? Because of my struggle with depression, I now get to minister to people who have depression. Like, that's
Exactly.
so sick. That's so rad because they need somebody. Everybody needs somebody, right? So
Right.
the fact that not only would the Lord trust me to carry this suffering, but
Right.
he would also trust me to use it for his glory. That's rad. It's
Yeah.
just it's incredible. I do honestly, and some days are better than others, right? I'm
Yeah.
still a human, so there's still days that I'm like, God, why?
Why?
What are you doing?
Right.
There's still for sure days like that, and then there's grace, right? Then there's grace to get me
Yeah.
through that. Then there's grace to
Yeah.
hold on to me through that. But like
Right.
I can honestly say that my go-to, at
Yeah.
least the what I always try to plant myself back into is the fact that this is bringing a depth in me that can only come through the suffering. It can
Right.
only come through the hard things. It can only be brought out through that, and that's encouraging.
Yeah, and it makes me think about when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane and when he
Oh,
was
yes.
hanging on the cross,
Yeah, dude.
right? Like
Yes.
if we didn't know the good from the bad, if we didn't experience horrible things, how would we know the joy of our redemption? How would we know
Exactly.
how would we know
Yes.
how amazing if we didn't know sickness, how could we
So
know
good.
health? Like
Yep.
we wouldn't truly be able to understand and comprehend at the end of the day when we get to see him again
Yes,
and
dude.
everyone's together again. It's like we won't understand the majesty of the
Exactly.
resurrection and the
Exactly,
majesty
dude.
of what he did in Gethsemane
Exactly.
until we
Exactly.
can feel this, right?
Exactly,
And
dude.
it sucks,
Exactly. Yeah.
but at least at
Yeah,
the
dude.
same time, I love how you say it gives you depth and it gives you roots because
Yes, dude.
that is what it is. And I think I also love how you bring up though, like we're human and it is okay for us to still kind of be like, I'm so
Oh,
angry and
for sure,
like
dude.
and
For
I'm
sure.
even anger towards God.
For
I
sure.
think
Absolutely.
sometimes, at least I know for me, I I get so I beat up on myself a lot and I'm like, oh, if I was like
Yeah.
a better disciple of Christ, then I wouldn't be angry that this is happening or sad that this is happening or
Yes.
feeling
Yeah.
or feeling like
Yeah.
this. But I love how you say like, no, literally in my darkest moments, Christ came and sat next to me. Even
Yeah,
when I
dude.
was
Yeah.
literally in the process of pushing him away, he was like,
Yeah.
no worries,
Yeah, dude.
I'll be back. I'll just be standing over here if you need something.
Exactly,
Right?
dude. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's literally him and that's literally his purpose is to be able to minister to us so in
Absolutely, dude.
our darkest times so that we can also have him as that example and
Exactly, dude.
minister to others. And
Exactly.
I love
Exactly,
that.
dude.
I love
And
that.
that's the thing. I mean, like, I think it's so beautiful. I love that you bring up like these struggles that Jesus went through, right? Because it
Right.
makes him real. It makes him
Real.
tangible. It
Right.
shows us so clearly that this is not, we do not serve a God who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, right? He
Right.
has felt the pain. He has felt the suffering. He knows this well. This is not like
Right.
talking to your friend who doesn't know anything about
Right.
mental illness or who doesn't know anything. Dude, you are talking to someone who has experienced it all and loves you through it. And like and going back to this, right? Is because I'm just like you. I am the same way.
Yeah.
Especially I think being raised in church, it's very easy
Right.
for me to feel incredible amounts of guilt when I do not respond to situations appropriately. When I don't
Right.
respond to situations with this joy or when I don't respond with this peace or this,
Right.
this
I feel like it's like there's a right way to Jesus.
yes,
There's a right way
yes,
to disciple.
exactly,
And
exactly, dude.
we kind of get
Yes,
wrapped up in that sometimes, which I do think that,
sure,
he
for
gives
sure.
us commandments. So
Of
yes,
course,
keep his,
right,
like there are
right.
right ways in that sense of keep his gospel, live his laws. But there's no right way to come to him.
No, no.
There's no
And dude,
right way to communicate with him and to
dude,
sit with him,
and
right?
like he died on the cross for this, like for
Right.
us. I have to remind myself of that all the time. He didn't die on the cross so that I could be perfect and I could get to heaven and not need him anyway. Like he
Right.
died on the cross for this specific reason. And I keep coming back to this place of like, because I again, growing up in church, right, there's kind of this stigma between having negative feelings and negative emotions and negative thoughts. You're kind of expected to be
Right.
happy and on and just like, woo, the Lord is so good, like everything's good, like
Right.
whatever, all the time. And
Right.
I think as I'm getting older, I'm realizing more and more that he created even the bad feelings too. Like
Yeah.
these he created those too. He created us as multidimensional humans who
Yeah.
feel everything. It's
Right.
not wrong. It's not bad. Like it's not even the anger, right? Even this
Right.
frustration, even when it's directed at him,
Right.
this is we're not talking to a God who is so small that he can't handle that. That he
Right.
can't handle our
Or he
emotions.
doesn't like want to deal with it.
No, no,
Right?
he's not like that, dude. He's just simply not. He wants to pull us in closer during those times. During
Right.
those times of he already knows we're feeling that way, right? He
Yeah.
already knows we're going through it. Like he knows everything. He created us. He
Right.
knows me better than I know myself. He
Right.
knows how I'm going to respond to things. So the
Yeah.
fact that like he just wants us to allow him to be close. in
Yes.
that because he already knows we're going through it anyway. Like he already knows.
Right. Right.
Surprise to him. So
Right.
he just wants to be allotted the opportunity to come close to us and then ultimately be our peace anyway. Like he's where
Yeah.
it comes from. So it's
Yeah.
just,
Like
it's
literally
crazy.
all of it. Like
Exactly.
he can be all of it.
Exactly, dude. But it's like I have had to really work through in myself, even the last couple years, like not making myself feel guilty for feeling sad or for feeling negatively or feeling angry or
Right.
whatever, because the Lord meets you in that spot too, dude. He created you. He already knows you're going to.
Yeah.
Like he knows those things. It's not a surprise to him whenever we don't respond to everything exactly the way that we're supposed to or should or whatever. That's what grace is for, my man. Like that's why he did it. That's why he's there. That's why he wants us, is because he knows that we're not perfect. Like, and he never asked us to be. He
Yeah.
never asked us to be. These are preconceived
Right.
notions that we put on ourselves.
I know,
It's
and I don't
silly.
know why we do that. I feel like that's just kind of one of the devil's like little tricks, right?
I
He's like,
completely agree.
you have to be perfect, and I feel like it's even cliche bringing it up because we're like, oh yeah, that's totally something that the devil just does,
A
and
hundred
but we
percent,
don't like take it
exactly.
seriously because it's like,
No,
no, like that literally is one of the biggest things that drags us down is we
it
feel so
absolutely is.
wrapped up in the what we're nots. That
Exactly,
whatever and
exactly.
whatever flavor that is of whoever that is,
100%, dude.
and
100%.
so we allow that to distance to I feel
Yes.
like that in a way we distance us from him.
But agreed, agreed. He never
Right.
walked. Agreed, agreed. He's never pulling away. I completely agree, dude. And that is the thing, right? I feel like at least for me personally, and maybe for you too, I get so caught up in this idea that like you're not enough. You're not enough.
Me
I'm
too.
not enough.
Yeah.
I'm not enough. Like I'm not doing enough. I'm not saying enough. I'm not being enough. I'm not loving enough. I'm not
Right.
whatever enough.
Right.
And he never asked us to be enough. He said that he's enough.
Right.
He said that he's enough. So like I don't know what I'm doing over here trying to be enough and trying to like do all the things and like be a certain way and try
Yeah.
to do whatever. It's all for naught, dude, because he
Yeah.
never asked that of us.
Yeah.
He asked us to be close to him. Like he asked us to let him love us. And that's all I have to do. It's
Right.
just like
Right.
let him love me.
Exactly. And that literally is, and it's funny that I think you bring that up because I've had so many conversations with my husband where I'm just like in the depths of like, oh, I'm such a horrible person. Oh, I'm not
Right.
doing enough. I have to be at
Yes.
this X amount of spiritual level to
Yeah, dude.
whatever,
Yeah.
but he asked me, he's like, okay, Lily, but like, can you actually quantify that? Like,
Exactly, dude.
how will you know when
Yeah.
you've arrived?
Exactly.
How will
Such a
you
good point,
know?
dude.
And I'm
That's such a
like,
good point.
I don't know. I just know I'm not there.
Exactly,
And
dude.
it's so
Yes.
far away.
That's such a good
And then
point,
he's
dude.
like, Lily, you're being silly. And it's but it's true. It
It's true.
really is, like, even looking back and in the scriptures and stuff, other like we said, other than like the strict commandments and
Mhm,
stuff, or and
mhm.
even in our church, we in our temples we make covenants. So we make other
Totally.
additional promises
Yeah.
with God,
Okay. Yeah.
and when we but those promises, they're not necessarily hard. They're consecrate your life to him.
Right.
They're things
Right.
that are kind of like already aligned with his laws,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's all based off of how much are you consecrating to me of your soul, of your
Yeah,
heart?
dude.
Do you have a
Yeah.
broken heart and a contrite
Mm,
spirit that you're giving to me? There is no
mm.
line of,
No.
okay,
No.
you have to do
No.
X amount of good deeds and all of
Exactly,
this and
dude.
all of this. There
Exactly.
is no hard line that that
No.
he says you have to
No.
be this tall to get into heaven.
Exactly, dude.
There's none of that,
Exactly.
but we put that on ourselves. And
We
I think that
absolutely
it's
do. Oh, we
important for
absolutely
us
do.
to, yeah, to remember that in this life, through the ups and the downs, we have to count it all joy and just remember that
Absolutely, dude.
he is there, and because he's there, we can be happy in this life, and it doesn't have to be we can be stressed out and we can feel these negative emotions because like we said, it's just a part of life.
Of
It's a
course,
part
dude.
of being
Yeah, dude.
mortal, right?
Absolutely. We're
But
fallen. Exactly.
right,
This
right,
is
we're
it.
fallen,
Like, yeah,
exactly.
we live in a
Like
fallen
you
world,
can't
dude. This
help
is
it,
it.
yeah.
No, this is it.
But it's because of him that we can feel that joy and know, like, no, my heart is faced, my heart and my eyes and my soul is towards you. And even if I'm
Mhm.
just like crawling there, which is how it feels, he
100%, dude.
wants that. He's
He
there
wants
and
it.
he's like, I'm crawling
Absolutely, dude.
with you. Let's just crawl
Absolutely,
together. Or
dude.
maybe he's like,
Absolutely.
I can help you up if you want, but if you want to keep
Absolutely, dude.
crawling,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
so many different
exactly,
flavors of
dude.
it that I think, yeah, that I think I've at least seen in my life, and through these interviews that I've seen with everybody else, which is
Yeah,
just
dude.
so encouraging to see, like,
It's such a
no
gift.
matter what, like, he literally is there. And when we
Exactly,
turn
dude.
to him, even in the darkest times, we might not feel like, yay, peppy, it's joy,
100%.
but just
100%,
like
dude.
this peace, you know?
There's a
I
peace
feel
that
like,
passes understanding, dude. 100%.
yeah, and I feel like
100%
joy,
there
I
is.
feel like sometimes we even I don't know, even mischaracterize joy, that it does have to be this like
Without a doubt.
super
Yeah.
peppy, like
No, dude.
energetic,
No.
like,
No.
but it's not. I think joy is just knowing that you are enough. It is
That's the
this
thing. I
calm,
think
quiet thing.
joy is rooted in hope. I think joy is
Yes.
rooted in hope, dude. I think that's where joy
Yes.
comes from, is having hope. And like,
Right.
so even when, life is hard and it sucks and it's whatever, like if you're rooted in hope, you have
Right.
joy.
Right.
Because there's hope that things will get better. Or that, not even
Right.
that things will get better, maybe it won't ever get better, right? But there's hope
Yeah.
that you have someone in the fire with you, that you're not
Right.
alone. It,
Right.
it's it's huge, dude. It's really game changing. I mean, I think back on all the times that I've fallen short, right? All the times that I haven't lived up to the Ten Commandments or lived up to these cultural norms that we have in Christian
Exactly.
society. There's been so many, dude. There's been so many times that I've fallen short. It's just silly. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's just silly. In big ways and small ways, I'm like, whoa, dude, like this
Yeah.
is bankers. I think back on all those times, and then I still come back to the place of the cross, right? I still come back to the place of, actually, your grace is enough.
Yeah.
And your grace covers that. Like, whoa, your grace covers that too. And I think it's easy
Right.
to get caught up in this idea of like, it has to look a certain way or be a certain way, or we all have to think a certain way. But at the end of the day, dude, it's like being a Christian, being someone who follows Christ, who is in
Mm-hmm.
love with Christ, is not one size fits all. It's not.
Right.
It's going to look different, and it's supposed to look different. Like, it's
Yeah.
good that it looks different,
Yeah.
because one person's way of loving God and following him is going to minister to 10 other people's ways that look like that. My way of loving and serving God is going to minister to 10 other people that look and act
Right.
and want to
Well,
be
it's the
that
body
way.
of
Like,
Christ,
it's the
right?
body of Christ, right? We can't
Like
have
the
all
hand
arms.
isn't
We
the
can't have
different than the
all,
foot.
yes, we can't, exactly, dude. We can't
That's
all
literally what
be,
it is.
exactly. We can't all be hands. We can't all be feet. We can't all be whatever. It's
Right.
the beauty of this
Right.
diversity. It's the
Right.
beauty in the way that we all serve and love him differently,
Right.
that can come together in just this.
Yeah.
It's outstanding what the Lord can do with that, when we're just leaning into it and we're just letting him take the reins, right? We're letting him lead the way.
Right.
Oh, it's mind blowing what he can do. It's mind blowing. It'll change everything. It'll change everything. I love it.
I totally agree. I love it. And honestly, I actually don't have any other questions or anything for you. Do you have any other final thoughts or things you'd like to bring up?
Oh,
I've
dude.
seriously enjoyed our conversation. It's been so fun, and honestly, it's been really uplifting because I feel like
Oh,
I've
good.
been really struggling to
Good.
find joy,
Mm,
and you don't get joy outside of things other than Christ,
yeah.
right? That it's
Yeah.
through Christ that it's the focus of our lives. And
Absolutely,
when your
dude.
life is focused on Jesus Christ,
Yep.
then that is truly where your joy comes from. And
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
I think I've lost sight of that a little bit too, because I just sit here and I just kind of get caught up in the daily grind of
Of course,
the
dude.
running
Of
around
course.
and
We
the
all
am
do.
I
Yeah.
doing, yeah, and am I doing enough? But it is so comforting to hear you testify and say, like,
Mm,
no, even in the
praise God.
trials and even in the things that, you can find that joy, and that joy is that hope. And I
Hmm.
think that's something that
Hmm.
I've been lacking recently, is
Of course.
the hope of I can be better, the hope of I
Totally.
can change, the hope of,
Yeah.
we can think good things can happen, and it's
Totally. He's
through
gonna pull you
him,
through this, dude.
and
Yeah.
it's exactly, and it's through
Yeah.
him that these things can happen. So thank you so
And then he's gonna
much for,
use you,
like,
dude.
yeah, for bringing
Absolutely,
that
dude.
up. Like, that was powerful, and I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Oh, dude, of course. I mean, it's all the Lord, right? It's all the Lord. He's the one doing all the work. I just get to be the mouthpiece, which is rad. That's so cool.
Right?
I love it. It's
Right?
really awesome. But no, dude, I mean, God is so ridiculously good. He
Yeah.
is so good in everything, dude. He's gonna pull you through the day to day. He's gonna pull you through the daily grind, right? He does
Yeah.
all the time. He's got a plan, even in this. Even in the day
Right.
to day, he's got a plan for it, dude. He's not using it for nothing. He hasn't just left you off to sea to fend for yourself, to do
I
your
sure
own
hope
thing,
so.
to do
When
whatever.
I'm raising these rugrats, I'm like, come
Baby, it feels like
on.
that some days, right? It feels like it's like, hello, does anyone hear me? Where
Right?
am I? Like, what is happening? Have you left me out here
Yeah.
to die? Like, what is happening? Nah,
Right.
dude, he's
It
there in
does
the
feel like
wilderness too.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, he's
it
there in
is
the
a
wilderness,
wilderness.
man.
It is a
It is.
wilderness.
Like if I can leave you and leave anybody who happens to be listening with anything, it's that he is with you in the wilderness, man. He's with you even when you don't feel like he is. He's there. He's
Yeah.
right there. I guarantee you. He has not left you. He hasn't left you, and he won't ever.
Yeah.
Just lean into him. Lean into him.
Sweet.
It's worth it.
Well,
100%.
thank you so much, Kelli, for your time. I really appreciate
Oh,
it. It's
Lily,
awesome.
thank you so much. I feel so lucky to get to talk about my favorite thing with you. This is so cool. Like the Lord is so good. I just really appreciate it, man. He's just been so good, and just thank you for
Yeah.
having me on. This has really been a gift.
Hey, no worries. We'll talk to you later.
Yay, you're awesome. See you later.
Thanks again for tuning into More Than Coincidence, Remembering Jesus Christ in Your Story. Please follow us on social media or share us with a friend. If you have an experience you'd like to share, feel free to reach out to morethancoincidence.rememberhim@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear all of the amazing memories you all have of our Savior. See you next time.